So, I've had to do too many takes, and I'm just using this as an information source. I'm just going over the truth, giving analogies, trying to get the information that I know is true, absolutely the truth, stuff that's been going on for 25 years, or stuff that witnesses have come up and talked to me about. Like, for instance, religion is my bread and butter. What makes religion my bread and butter, but not my father's and mother's bread and butter? They went to church every week. They're Catholics. Why would religion be my bread and butter and not theirs? Because I take comparative religion, and I've spent many, many years taking college courses for free online, trying to look up as much information as I can possible. Like, if you ask my father who wrote the Bible, who made the Bible, during, unless somebody updated his information, he'd probably tell you, well, Jesus wrote it, or the apostles wrote it. And if you asked him, well, so the Bible that you read today is the Bible that they wrote? And my father would go, of course. That's exactly how it was. Jesus was there and the apostles wrote everything he did. Or they might say something around those lines. I can't assume that I know exactly what he would say. But I do realize that he probably would not say what I'm about to say. Who wrote the Bible? A bunch of secondhand witnesses that literally were not apostles who thought or heard what the apostles spread down their family. The original Torah and the original documents that made up the Bible were originally more than 100 books. And they were each written by different people based upon different things that these people were told about Jesus and the apostles. They actually weren't there, and most of the apostles did not write their own books. It was secondhand accounts of people who were writing this down against the church. Not only this, the original Bible had over 100 parts, and then it was downsized to, I believe, it's in the 70s, but I think it's 76 parts. And then the Catholics downsized it again to, I think, 60 something parts. So the Bible today is only half of what it originally was 300 years ago. So when you think of the Bible, it's a secondhand account written by people 300 years after Jesus had already died, after many, many generations have already passed. It's secondhand information passed down from generations, and then a bunch of people decided to start recording this into a bunch of books. A bunch of books that make one big book called the Bible. Now, originally, like for instance, there was a lot more information about, let's say, Noah's father or Noah. When it comes to Noah's Ark, the flood, there was a lot more information. Like, for instance, Noah's father is the only human being ever to go to heaven and come back. In the original Bible, it said that Noah's father was brought into heaven, what was basically a lot like a spacecraft, and he was walking through the spacecraft or walking through heaven, if that's what you want to believe. Both are possible to me. I like the idea of heaven better than a spacecraft, but whatever you want to interpret it, the words are there, but it can be interpreted in different ways. That's the other problem with the Bible. Is it actual accounts, or was it a fictional Bible to try to make people act better and have some rules in society? We don't know, because it was after the fact. Now, I have faith, and I do believe the Son of God was born on this earth. I know for a fact that there is some type of higher power looking over us. I know that when you are unconscious or you're about to die, you get to talk to this person. I know that if you meditate long enough, or if you use some of the ancient ways to meditate and contact the other side, it does work. If you study for the next year all the Indian and Asian traditions, what they use to contact the other side, dead ones. You can make a brew that you drink. Some people can do it with just 20 years of practice, but you can use something like DMT, a mushroom, peyote, ayahuasca. Those have been used for thousands of years to contact God. Now, you might be thinking these people are just tripping, but DMT is very, very, very different than a drug where you get high and enjoy it. No, you start talking about to dead relatives. You start seeing events that come true. God talks to you and tells stuff to you that you can't ever know. And you can leave your body and see everybody in the room. You can even see him back of you. These aren't things that are possible. There are impossibilities. You cannot leave your body and float around a room. But yet, if you practice what they call actually, here's a good example, remote viewing. That is where you view something on the other side of the earth by nothing more than meditation. That's impossible. That has to be bullshit. Well, if it's such bullshit, then why did our CIA and why did our government invest money in it and say it was a success? And why do they still have black ops programs doing it today? I mean, yes, our government says remote viewing is absolutely successful and they still use it today. Remote viewing is where you leave your body and you see something on the other side of the earth. Now, our government says that our money is worth putting to this. So, and after they did years and years of experiments, they continued to do it. They even changed the name of the programs. So, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. But thanks to my father and mother destroying my nervous system and doing so much harm to me, I froze to death and almost died. And they had but according to the paperwork, my body temperature was in the 70s. I wasn't breathing and I didn't have a heart rate on arrival. Now, I did live, obviously, and it wasn't a pleasant experience, but I did have a vision that was very, very interesting. And I've had these visions whenever I have a seizure or some type of, I've had a couple of them. Now, I call these dreams. I mean, honestly, I have no idea if I'm really talking to God as I'm dead and my heart rate is so low nobody can hear it. I'm no longer breathing. I have no idea if that's really God I spoke with or just a dream I'm having while unconscious. But I'll tell you what, I have never ever had a dream like that in my life. It was so real, and the information I've been given is so like I couldn't ever come up with it. I really couldn't ever know these things, that it is definitely something to this. Now, if it was just me having this, I would say, okay, it's definitely a dream. But I've talked to other people that have had similar problems like freezing to death, going into a coma, dying and being brought to back. And it seems like we all have similar experiences. Not only this, there are drugs like DMT out there that allow you to leave your body and go to another world. Now, I haven't experienced this in full blast, but I have known a lot of people that have tried it. And they've talked to dead relatives. They say they've talked to God. It's just, I mean, DMT is also the chemical in your brain that gets released right when you die. When you die and everything stops, your brain goes on a DMT trip. Well, why would God hardwire DMT to be released in your brain right when you die? Why would your body only release a chemical when you're dying? You're dying. Your body's not going to come back to life from it. So why is your body releasing DMT? Why the hell does every single animal and living thing on Earth release DMT when they die? It doesn't bring them back to life. There's no chance of survival, greater odds because of this. And we know that DMT is a extremely powerful hallucinogen that will take you out of your body and put you in another world for 15 minutes. And then you slam right back in your body and there's no after effects. You just are back to normal. Why would this be the case? Well, let's say that God had a plan for us to go to heaven or hell. Let's say that he had a plan and we have a soul. Well, wouldn't God want a release button to that soul to say, okay, it's time to take that soul. It's time to float out of your body. It's time to leave. And what would that release button look like that God put into us? Well, I have no idea. God works in mysterious ways. It certainly wouldn't be a button on my hand. So maybe DMT is just God's creation, and that is the release, that is the chemical that tells God it's time to come and see him. Maybe once when you get that DMT being released in your brain, maybe you really do leave your body. And maybe that's why when you smoke DMT, you leave your body, you go to heaven, you get to see your relatives, and then you slam back. Because what you've done is you've fooled God in a way. You've released your death chemical, so your soul leaves your body, you get up into heaven, and then they say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Get the fuck back down there. Yeah, how the hell are you up here? Yeah, you didn't die recently. Yeah, hey, get the clipboard. Yeah, get the clipboard. Hey, is a Zachary Newell on there? No? 3 years? At the age of 32, right? Yeah, you're only 24. It's not your time yet. What the hell you doing up here? Send him back already. And then you're 15 minutes later, you're back in your body. You don't feel any different. You say, what the fuck was that? My buddy just gave me a puff out of a pipe, and all of a sudden I'm in heaven, and then they throw me back? I swear I saw my grandmother up there. What the hell is going on? Well, you could think it's a delusion. It could be a fantasy from the drugs. You could be doing that. I really don't know because I've never been able to score any of that, and I have no want to do drugs anymore. I just meditate. I am happy the way I am. If I need to speak to God, I will meditate, pray, and speak to him that way. But I have been doing a lot of research on DMT and how a lot of this drug scene has come by. I've talked to people online that use DMT and asked them, do you think you're high or do you think you're having a spiritual awakening? They say, oh, definitely a spiritual awakening. And it really feels like your soul is leaving your body and going to another world. And there's no other way to explain it. Also, people have said that they've seen Jesus, they've seen all these religious figures. And don't forget, heaven is each person's own heaven. So whatever you want it to be is what it is. So if you take DMT and you go to heaven, well, I'm guessing that people would have a different experience, but God would still be there. Your relatives might still be there. Jesus might be still there, but maybe they come to you in different forms. I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that I do not think my father has been studying the Torah. I do not think he cares about Muslims. I bet my father thinks that if somebody is Muslim, they might have might think that they could hurt people, when really, Muslims' number one rule is they're not allowed to hurt or kill. Muslims can't kill or hurt other people. But I bet if you ask my father, he would believe that those bombers that were Muslim, that's part of their religion. It's not. Muslims are some of the nicest people you ever meet. It's a great religion, but it is a little off. When you start looking into these religions, some of them are really messed up and made by a leader who just wants to change the rules. And I forget. I think it is Muhammad. Yeah, one of the Muslim religions is based off Judaism, and there's another one that is clearly just all over the place and contradicting itself, and it's just really it's like the Mormons for us. White people have the Mormons and we laugh at them for being ridiculous. Well, there is a Muslim religion that's on the tip of my tongue. I just tried to say it a minute ago, but it didn't come out. Now I can't say it for some reason. And what it basically is our version of Mormons. You think of the Mormons and you're like, well, they're a lot like Christians, except for their beliefs are all over the place. Well, there is a form of Muslims just like that as well. I can't think of the actual branch. Then you also got Hindus. That was very interesting. Like, did you know that there's a version of Hinduism? It's called Shiva. It's the people that worship Shiva, and they believe in rubbing dead body parts that have been cremated all over their body, smoking weed to get closer to God, and that but drinking piss and urine brings them closer to God too. It's pretty all over the place. This Shiva religion, where they want to worship Shiva, drink poop and piss, smoke weed, and rub dead people all over their skin. So that's the joke of the India. You also got the Tibet people who believe that their god or their savior in a way gets reborn in another body after they die, and that this is can be tracked down. But China took their leader, so they don't know where he is. But he might get reborn, and they might have to start the search again. Then you got Buddha. You got the Buddha, what I have a whole video on, and oh wow, there's a lot to him. Like one time he meditated so long that he almost starved to death because Buddha says that you shouldn't be